Hey, what's up, everybody? Today, we're going to be talking about something that's not necessarily so much fun, but super important, and that's end-of-life issues with your loved ones. I'm Risa Morimoto, your host, and you're watching Modern Aging, where we chat about innovative and holistic ways to elevate our health and well-being as we age. When you click on that little red button below that says subscribe on it with that little bell next to it, you'll be sure to be notified whenever a new episode is uploaded. You can, of course, check out our website at thisismodernaging.com. Fay Yin is 88 years old, and she was diagnosed with lymphoma a few years ago. I talked to her today with her children, Monona and Duncan, about her end-of-life wishes and how she was so open and really adamant that her end-of-life wishes be carried out. This wasn't without its ups and downs, but it definitely brought them closer together, and so I'm hoping that it inspires you to have the same discussions with your families. So check it out. Thank you so much for talking with me today. It's not the happiest of topics, but I think it is super important and something that we were really open about in our family. So I really admire you guys for really coming out and speaking publicly about such a private matter. And so, Fay, I wanted to start off with you. If you can just share a little bit about your illness and why talking about end-of-life issues is so important to you.
I am one for planning ahead. I'm always looking forward and see what I needed to do. My basic fear is to lose control, because I've seen my own mother and a very dear friend die in a terrible, long, drawn-out death. So I started telling Monona basically what I wanted. I might have gone too far. In the beginning, all I can think of is, where am I going to get some aid in dying, like in New Jersey? And that is so impractical. But we talked about everything, where I'm going to end up, and I've had this cancer for over 5 years now, so it's very easy to talk. After I'm gone, when you're not here, Mom, it's just common conversation. It doesn't have any special
Well,
pain.
it didn't start that way.
Yeah.
My mom was diagnosed in August 14 with lymphoma. And then in the fall of 15, after she'd had a good experience with chemo and a remission, she had a really bad relapse. And we brought her to New York for a second opinion. And that's when we found out she had a much rarer form of lymphoma that is always recurrent. So we knew that we were not going to get some kind of permanent remission like other folks. So I think you really started talking to us after we came home from your oncologist in October 2015. We came home from the oncologist who said Mom should enroll in hospice and prepare to die, and we were totally unprepared for that verdict. And when we got home, my brother and I were kind of in a daze, and then Mom just sat us right down at the kitchen table right then and there and just said, I want you to know what my wishes are. And that conversation has continued up until today.
It only got more detailed and more familiar and more agreement.
Duncan, how did you feel?
I was more insistent that we get a second opinion.
At that time, 2015, my oncologist in Wilmington told me that I have 3 to 6 months to live. And he's signing me up for hospice. Goodbye. So that's when the conversation started with a lot of argument, tears, but useful.
I mean, these conversations are really difficult to start, and many families actually don't ever have them. And for my family to be able to carry out my wishes, my mother's wishes before she passed, was everything. And so I see the value of it now. But what value do you guys see in it now? You know, your mom's still alive. She's still, you know, she's still eating. She's still doing interviews. You know, and you just don't know when that day is going to come. So it still seems, you know, theoretical in many ways. But how have you guys changed as a family, knowing what her wishes are, and how do you kind of come to terms with that?
Well, for me, facing the reality that my mom is going to die sooner than I'd like has really had a profound influence on what I think is important to do day to day. And I've really changed how I spend my time. I mean, I literally put more importance on my family, my friends. You know, I love my work, but my family always comes first. Everybody knows that about me. And also, paradoxically, I started to work on my bucket list immediately because it reinforced that I was going to die, and that, you know, our father died in 1970. So we knew that there are no real guarantees, right? Even if you're young and healthy. So it's been really, really good for our relationship. Like, because we're not carrying secrets or unspoken things, it's just like cleared the air completely, and we're more focused on enjoying each other, which I look around and, you know, it's a rare thing to just enjoy daily life together.
So what sort of things do you talk about? What's really important to you, Fay?
I want to say that we've always had a loving relationship. So it's very easy to go forward. It's very easy to say what's in your mind. I understand that that's not true for many of the family. For me, I was telling Monona the other day, just being able to get up, eat a huge breakfast, and move around a little bit, that's enough for me. Just being with them. I must say that we've always had a loving relationship, but this is now deeper. It's so real.
In terms of what your mom wants and what she's requested for end-of-life issues or end-of-life document, I don't know if it's in her advance directives, but what kinds of things has she requested?
I think because of the traumatic death that my mom witnessed over a period of years, she really didn't want to linger and suffer. And so I would say the hardest part of all this has been trying to allay her fear that she will lose control and essentially be trapped inside of her body, forced to suffer. That's really been a negotiation. I mean, I think now we're all on the same page, but it wasn't always like that, because as Duncan said, he was really fighting for every treatment, every possible medical way to stay alive. And I was more saying, no, it's mom's right. If she wants to go, we should support her to go. Now I think we trust that it's not going to be a terrible, drawn-out affair. I mean, because of the nature of lymphoma, we have a pretty good picture of how the end will be. And now we're not struggling so much over, gosh, do we have to move to another state where they have medical aid in dying? I mean, that was on the table at one time. And it was a horrible prospect, just horrible. Now I feel like we're just more accepting of what's going to happen, and I think also we feel like we can handle it. So of course we want to minimize her suffering, but I don't feel like we have to hasten her death. Like, that's a big distinction for me.
So this is a very private matter that, a lot of families may talk amongst themselves or may not. And but you've actually been to Albany as well, right? This is something that you've been very public about. I mean, you wrote in the New York Times, and you've done numerous video interviews and with the AARP and so on. Why is it so important for you? Yes, I understand it's a very personal decision. Why is it also important for you to speak so publicly about it as well?
Mom was really the driver of wanting to help pass these laws in her home state of Delaware and my home state of New York. In fact, if the New York law had passed, we would have benefited from it immediately. So there was a lot of self-interest in doing that. I think also I was involved in Reimagine End of Life 2 years ago, and through that multi-event extravaganza all about death and dying, I became aware of this campaign, and they asked us, after reading the New York Times piece, they asked us to testify, and I did go to Albany and lobby, which was kind of an amazing experience. I mean, it's so random the way laws are passed. Like, you have to chase down the hall after a legislator and try to get them to listen to you, and then maybe they'll vote on that bill. But it's kind of astonishing when you think about, it's a very antiquated process. Like, there's letters and postcards, but in the end, they need people telling their stories. And we're the only Asians who were willing to do that. And that's why I was very excited to meet you, because I just don't meet that many Asian Americans who are comfortable talking about death and dying.
Well, I feel like it definitely is a topic that we all need to discuss. And, we all know that death will come, I mean, it's not like it's if, it's when. And if we can create a better ending for people, where people are comfortable and they're surrounded by their loved ones and they get what they want, then that's all we can do, right? So, you brought about how it's, a lot of Asian Americans don't talk about it because, and especially with Chinese culture, Japanese culture, East Asian culture, it is extremely taboo. Did you ever feel that way? Like, were you ever hesitant, Fay, about talking about it?
We have always been an open family. So, but I understand that we're outlier among the Chinese. Chinese don't even want to touch the subject. The word death is taboo. Even if they see their parents near death, they wouldn't talk about it. And I think that's a big hindrance because there's no communication. This way, at least we all know where we stand. I'm very comfortable and thankful to know where I am, and my children know where I want to be, and that's good. There's no guessing.
How do you recommend families open or start this discussion?
That's hard. People come up to us after we talk and they ask us the same question: how do I broach this with my mother or my grandmother? And it's so hard for us to answer because we didn't have that exact problem. That's not an easy process. And what I always say in talks is that it's more than one conversation. So you got to start doing it in order to have enough time to really figure out what you feel. Like, it's not even a given that you know what you yourself feel, let alone how you as a family harmonize all of those feelings. It takes a lot of conversations. So I think part of the reason we even do this is watching a video could be a thing you do with your parents. And then it's like, oh, well, now I've broached it, right?
Right. Or you watch the farewell, or you, right, exactly. Sometimes you need like a middleman or whatever, to create that, to create that opening. How do you feel that this has changed you guys personally and also your family?
It's very freeing, knowing that they know where I am. In a strange way, it makes life really sweet. Mm-hmm. Every minute is precious.
I want to add that for me, I feel like I was kind of asleep in the way that you are when you think you have forever to do what you want to do. And Mom's near death in 2015 woke me up. And since then, I feel more present in my own life. I feel really, so lucky to have had all this time living with my mom. I mean, I haven't lived with her since I was 18, so I got this bonus time. And then we worked together on her publishing her memoirs, which she had written, but were just kind of a bunch of essays in a drawer. And because we knew her life was not guaranteed, we did this legacy project because it was like now or never. And sometimes it's really good to have that push so you don't waste your precious time, which is all we ever get, right?